everyone, and welcome back to the Colour Cave, where we like to play with art stuff. My name is Jem, and I am a huge fan of a company called Paperblanks. For those of you not familiar with Paperblanks, they make the most beautiful diaries and journals, and I think I kind of like them because they look like old books. So over the years, I have bought quite a selection of journals and diaries. And it goes to follow that Mr. Jem's kind of into them as well, and he's bought quite a few diaries too. And then Mama Jem saw them as well, and she's like, oh, they're really pretty, so I'll just get a diary as well. And they've got all these lovely designs, so you can see why we're kind of in love with them a little bit. This is my new 2022 diary, look how pretty it is. I found out that, oh, they do like notebook sizes like this as well, they're really good too. So I found out that people, oh, they do diaries this size as well. I found out that they've made a sketchbook, and I was like, I'm so gonna have to order this sketchbook. Not sponsored, not affiliated, just really like them. And they do little dinky flexy ones as well, look. Yeah, so it's one of those things I have been anticipating, and I think would probably be the most perfect thing in the world. And I've actually been scared to make this video because what if it's a real disappointment? What if they've just stuck really crappy paper in a really nice cover? Let's get to top down view and let's get going. Okay, so here is the sketchbook in question. I am so nervous about this, it's ridiculous. Currently, the Paperblanks sketchbooks, they only come in one size, which is this size, and that is called a Grande. They have lots of different cover designs, and this is roughly A4. So this is a sheet of A4 paper here. So it's slightly smaller than A4, but not by very much. And it says on the front, ink blot is the design, the cover design, and you can see it's got a little bit of a sheen to it, and if I just turn it on its side there, most of the Paperblanks books have some sort of design down the spine made to look like an old book, and the back is the same as the front. As I say, there's quite a few designs to choose from. Because they only come in one size, this is retailing at £26.99 in Great British pounds. Here's some conversions for you roughly for your own benefit. So it says down here it's mixed media paper. There's 112 pages and it's 200 GSM paper, so it's quite thick paper. And they are touting it as a sketchbook. I'm really scared. I just don't want to ruin my eggs. It's like when someone tells you Santa isn't real. So I'm curious to see the makeup of these. So the inside cover is the same colour as the journals and the diaries. And the paper here, okay, the paper is white. It's very white. I wasn't expecting it to be bright white. I was expecting it to be off-white. And the paper feels really smooth, which for me in a sketchbook isn't exactly what I would want. Okay, I noticed as well that there are perforations in at the crease, so if you do decide you want to do something with your artwork, it looks pretty easy to tear out there. Yeah, that's a good perforation. That's one thing, like the build quality, these is going to be good, so things like perforations, I know are going to be okay. Oh, we get ribbons as well, so this is the same as in the diaries as well. So we've actually got 2 ribbons. These sheets of paper are huge. I'm not used to sketchbooks being this size though. So we've got 2 bookmarks, so if you're a sporadic person that randomly likes to pick a page in your sketchbook, at least you know where you're going with that. If we come to the back, that has an elastic fastening, so when it's closed you can, like this. It also means you can stuff extra bits of paper and things in it, so if you've got reference photos or things you've been using, because it's got, they call it a memento pouch. I call it a ducat. A ducat in the back, and obviously because of the size of the sketchbook, that's a fairly big ducat, so you can keep quite a lot in there. So yeah, so I'm quite pleased that they've kept some of the features that you get in the diaries and the journals, and my main concern now is basically this paper. I do think that this is quite a new thing for Paperblanks to have brought out. I don't think these sketchbooks have been out for very long, and I think the popularity of them will very much influence whether or not they bring these out in different sizes. I'll just show you some of the other sizes so you can see what I'm talking about. So I would think that other sizes that might be popular for sketchbooks would be the Ultra. Again, just to show you the kind of the page size. So that's what you'd be looking at there. And then the smaller one again. And this is the midi size, which, you know, might be a nice sort of pocket sketchbook size. But these come across the diaries, the journals, everything. So I think if the sketchbooks were popular, we might see something similar. But for now, we've got this big desk job. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to test out some of the supplies and really see what this can do, because this says it's mixed media paper. So we're going to find out if it really is mixed media paper. And I'm going to make this back page my test page. Those of you that have seen one of my sketchbook reviews before will know that basically this is the part where we just throw absolutely everything at this page and see what happens. If this paper copes well, particularly with pencil, that's going to really motivate me and excite me to use this as an actual sketchbook despite its monstrous size. The sketchbook that I've got just now is the Artway sketchbook, and the paper in it's actually quite nice for pencil, but I'm not really inspired to sketch in that sketchbook. Whereas I feel as if I would be inspired and I would be motivated to sketch in this just because it's really pretty. So this could be really important because I'm coming to the end of my sketchbook. So let's make a start. And I think the first thing I want to do is do this up in this corner is I've got some pan pastel, how that goes down on the paper, and I don't foresee any issues with this at all. See what's going to happen here. Oh, it's going down. Paper's taking it, and I can build that up. You can see I've just added a little bit more on top of that. Oh, and the paper seems to be quite happy with it. Because the paper's quite smooth though, I'm surprised that that's taken as much as it is. Yeah, it's taking it no problem. I'm more impressed with that than I thought it would be. Look, and we can pull it out and everything. And let's get a little bit of gem type mediums on the go here. So let's grab some pencils. I'm going to grab some graphite pencils. So I've got a black wing, which is a really soft, dark pencil. And I want to find my F pencil as well. So this would be my drafting pencil. And I suppose we might as well draft something then, shouldn't we? I don't know what right enough, but maybe an air balloon, a hot air balloon, because then we could put some colour in it, couldn't we? Okay, so to sketch on, it definitely feels okay. So the paper is quite smooth. So I'd be interested to find out what goes on with the darker pencil. So let's see if we can. It feels a bit slippery on this paper. Again, it's just not sort of toothy and grippy enough for the thing that I like to do most in sketchbooks, which is just little graphite drawings. I mean, you'll still get a bit down there. It's not even smudging that far either. I think for someone that does use a lot of different mediums, this would probably be quite a good sketchbook. I think for me and what I like it for, probably not so much. I will pretty much draw on any surface, but at £27, that's quite a lot of money for a sketchbook. I know it's a big size and it's pretty and all the rest of it, but that's quite a lot of money for a sketchbook. So I think I'd be wanting it to fulfil my, my needs at that sort of price. But I mean, the pencil and everything's going down. We are going to test some coloured pencil in a little minute as well. Now I've got some fine liners here as well. I've got Pigma Micron, and I just want to see if we're going to get any feathering or any bleed or anything. And it really doesn't look like it. And Pigma Microns are usually the ones that are going to bleed if anything's going to feather out. That seems to have taken that absolutely fine. I'll do a bit of scrubbing. Paper seems to be okay with it. In fact, paper's taking that very well. I think we're going to get on better with the inks and the markers. Okay, that's quite interesting. This is more for bleed through than anything else. I've got some drawing ink, and this is Winsor & Newton Brilliant Green. So I've got Pipette here, and I'm just going to I better do it in this corner, eh? Just going to put a tiny bit there, and I'm going to see how long that takes to do things. It seems to be sitting on top of the paper, which again, that kind of makes me think more of like marker paper. There we go. So it's just spreading it out a little bit here. Oh, I've almost made like a little scorpion there by accident. It's a little sea creature. So far so good. The only thing that's really not all that happy is graphite. So that makes me quite interested to see what's going to happen with colour pencils. But before we get to colour pencils, I've got a few other bits and pieces here. Wanted to test some paint markers. So I have got a Posca marker and a Molotov acrylic marker as well. These seem to be two of the more popular brands that are on the market. I really like these Molotov markers and I'm actually going to start buying some more. These are refillable. Posca, not so much. However, a much better range of nib sizes with the Posca, but I'm not here to type paint pens to you. I get carried away with this all the time. Yeah, so let's try a Posca. Oh, and that really likes that paper. There's a surprise. Now, I'm doing a fair bit of flicking there, and normally with paint pens, they're quite good at pulling up the paper, you know, like pilling the paper, and that's not happened with that just there, so that's really impressive. Let's take a small end for this. I'll just try with this, because these are slightly different texture and slightly different recipe makeup, shall we say, from the Poscas. Again, a bit of scrubbing, paper's loving that. Oh. Okay, I am really impressed with that. It is soaking in and drying quite quickly, again, which you would imagine it would do. Okay, so we've got some, next thing is some water solubleness. I've got some water soluble crayons. These are the Lyra Aquacolor crayons. Again, just want to see how they do. So they're happy going onto the paper. They're actually very happy going onto the paper. Look, oh, I build up a little bit of colour there. So they're happy to layer up on this paper as well. Oh, the sun's coming round now. I'm going to have to close my blind in a wee minute. I'm casting a shadow here. Okay, so that's really happy to go down on the paper. It's nice and smooth. Grab a wee water brush now. Now this is really the first water we've added ourselves. Obviously there's a water content in some of the supplies. But I want to see how oh my goodness. I don't think we're going to have any problems with this either. Again, because the paper's quite smooth, that is diluting out really, really well. This is good. This is good. And it is taking out that texture, you know, you can get rid of the texture. And it's not travelling too far, so you are getting to control what you want to do. I'm quite impressed with this. I've put quite a bit of water down on that, and it doesn't seem to be moving the paper much. So we'll let it dry to see how that does. See if coloured pencil goes well in here. This just might be a thing for me. Okay, next up I have got some water-based markers. So this is the Caran Brush Marker Pros, and again this is more for bleed through because this is smooth paper. I know that this is going to go down absolutely fine on this paper. Yeah, look at that. No problem at all. Absorbing quite quickly into the paper, but that is a-okay. I actually quite like the texture that the ink leaves behind. Yeah, I actually quite enjoy that. That's quite nice. Okay, so no problems with these as well. Our ink is still drying up here. This is taking a long time. This is taking a long, long time to dry. Our water-soluble crayons soaked in fairly quickly. There is a bit of buckling on the paper. It's not much though. What do they call these? Lyra Aquacolor. I can never remember the name of these. Aquacolor. Right, superb. So far so good. There's nothing that's going... So what that tells me is that the paper is of a quality. So we've got some alcohol markers here. Now I'm not expecting miracles here. These will bleed through because this is not marker paper. But I just want to see if it can take a wee bit of punishment. So I've got 3 similar markers here and I'm going to try and do a little blend in here. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. Oh, look at this. Yeah. We're blending markers on this multimedia, mixed media paper. This is amazing. Oh, look at that. Look. Guys, I'm impressed. Honestly, I was so worried, like my expectations for this, because I had emailed Paperblanks, and I'm talking like 2 or 3 years ago, saying, oh, when are you going to bring out a sketchbook? And they literally said, watch this space, so I got really excited. I have been waiting a long time for this, and I was so frightened that my expectations were going to be ruined, and that I would never want to use another Paperblanks book again, but this is amazing. This is great. Like, this is really, really good. So now I'm just sitting here going to my wee self, please let the colour pencil be good. Please let the colour pencil be good. And if that's the case, then I am absolutely 100% using this as a sketchbook. If not, that was a really expensive mistake. Okay, again, I'm just going to let that dry and we'll see how it sits properly, you know. But I'm impressed. Like, I genuinely am. Okay, what better way to test out the watercolour situation than by using our friend Julia Kay's paints? This is the plain colour set, not the shimmer colours, because we know the shimmer colours look good in anything, but I want to see in a practical sense. I'm going to use a non-practical colour, however. This is one of Julia's new colours and it's called Opium. I like to call it Offensive Pink, and you don't get much more offensive than that. So I think we'll maybe test out a couple of Julia's colours here, but that one definitely. Got my old faithful paintbrush here. I haven't used this one in a wee while. This is a Winsor & Newton Cotman number 8 round, and it was one of the first non-budget paintbrushes that I bought. And yeah, I've had this a long time, this paintbrush, and it's holding up fairly well. So let's take Julia's Opium. This is just, oh my goodness. Okay, I want to see if the paint's travelling quite well in there as well. Oh, okay. Let's try a darker colour. I was thinking more like Harold. You know, I like my sort of moody indigo colours. And I'm going to try a little bit of Wet n Wet here as well. So I've just got the Derwent water brush here. Whoops, that was a bit much, but okay. Okay, so I think, yep, page is wet. And I've got Harold on the end of the paintbrush here. Oh, are you seeing this? Look at that. For actual not watercolour paper, that's fun. That's really fun. Oh, well done, Paperblanks. I'm sorry I ever doubted you. I'm gonna let that do its thing as well. Water soluble medium. This is the last one I've got here. And this is the little Inktense palettes. I'm expecting a similar situation to the Lyra Aquacolor. But again, it's more for like staining purposes. So I'm going to take some of the deeper colours and I'm going to try that. So I've got this turquoise here. That's fairly, the phrase I would use is rar. Let's put a little bit of that down, but let's hammer it in, you know, let's really work it into the page. You know, give the page a bit of punishment. Same as I did when I did with the alcohol markers. That was a good 3 or 4 layers I did there. Again, taking the actual medium itself really well. Like, not bothered or complaining about that at all. Like, at all. Which is real nice. Now, the drawing ink is interesting. It's actually discoloured quite a lot. Right, let's move on to some coloured pencils. Now, this is a little bit more in-depth, and it's just because pencils are what I use. So I've got a set of wax-based pencils, a set of oil-based pencils, and also a budget set of pencils, which will be wax-based, just to see how we're going to go. I'm sticking with fairly popular brands here, you know, I would say sort of mainstream brands. So everyone knows these guys. These are Crayola coloured pencils. So I've got a blue there, and I think we'll grab a red, and we'll maybe grab a yellow. Oh, that's another offensive pencil, no thanks. Okay, so if we go with some Crayola pencils, and that's taking that fairly well. Wow, a bit of blending going on there on this paper. Never. With a Crayola pencil, no less. Okay, so that colour's coming up fairly vibrant. Look, that's quite rich as well. We give that a couple of layers, so we can get some layers down. And the blue's doing fine as well. Normally blues are kind of drier, scratchier pencils in general when it comes to coloured pencils, so it's always good to test a blue. But that seems to be okay as well, and the paper wants to take a couple of layers as well. I mean, you can't argue with that. And then we've got our brown here as well, so let's just, let's see what we can do with that as well. What can I say? So next up we've got some Prismacolor pencils, so I've picked them out in similar shades to what we had up here just to see what we can do. Now I'm assuming that the Prismacolor pencils are going to be quite happy on this. Being a soft pencil, you can just kind of like smoosh it down and away you go, so you don't even really need to have that much in the way of layering going on. Because it's a soft wax pencil, you can literally just smash it into the paper in one layer, and I know people that actually do that and come out with some great results. But you can see there, that's blending really well on this paper. So yeah, because this paper's a little bit smoother, it's like, yeah, it'll blend out for you, that's not a problem. We've got room to slide about, room to manoeuvre. So Prismacolor pencils, and look how deep and rich I can get that as well. So the paper has got some tooth to it, otherwise I wouldn't be able to do that. So yeah, I am happy that Prismacolors are happy on here. Let's have a little look at the blue. Yeah, look at that. Okay. So now this is a bit of a moment of truth for me because I prefer to use oil-based pencils and I like to use layers. So I have, of course, got my old faithful Faber-Castell Polychromos here. So let's try with our yellow here. Gonna see how many layers I can get going here. So that's 3. Okay, I'd say that's about the limit. That was 7 or 8 good layers. You really don't need to be using as many as that. That's plenty. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that as well. It does feel a little bit strange going down on the paper because it's a bit slidey. But again, I don't know how many coloured pencil, like finished colour pencil pieces I would be doing in my sketchbook. Obviously, I do like to do things in colour pencil. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about this. The paper's fine though, like the paper isn't really a problem. It's whether or not it's to my preference or my taste, or whether I would get fed up with it and go and dig out some proper colour pencil paper. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think though how many mixed media projects or experiments I've done in my sketchbook in the last 12 months, and it's actually quite a few. So, you know, you've got to kind of balance that up as well. I'll try my brown. Yeah, all these pencils are behaving absolutely fine. I don't think this would be a bad sketchbook. So that's Polly's. Okay, so now that we've kind of through, the only thing we've not tried is charcoal. Again, yeah, why not? Why not? Okay, so that's willow charcoal. Let's get some manufactured charcoal. Yeah. Oh. And I don't know how good the smudginess will be, but we're gonna try. Yeah, you can pull that out a little bit. That's not bad. That's not bad. Maybe not so much with the willow. Yeah, you're more just lifting the willow back off. Again, because there's because this is a smoother paper, that's going to happen. More's come back off in my finger. Just because the charcoal, there's nothing gripping it, you know, from the paper. So you could actually do a bit of charcoal work as well. Again, I wouldn't be going in all heavy with the charcoal. You would be better off with a dedicated paper for that. But that's, you know, again, if you're practicing in your sketchbook, that would be perfect. Okay, so I think we've figuratively battered 10 bells out this sketchbook. The page itself, it has a slight buckle about here, but considering all the media that we've thrown at it, I'm actually really, really impressed. I just want to do the turnover test now. I'm going to stick a sheet paper in there because I'm going to have to spray that with fixative so that it doesn't mess up this other page too much. There we go. So, as expected, this is the Copic marker, and it has actually kind of touched on this back page a tiny bit. So if you're going to use Copic markers in here, bearing in mind that was pretty heavy, that was a good couple of layers. I didn't put anything in behind the paper. I would maybe stick a scrap of paper, you know, in between your sheets to stop it transferring onto a fresh page. This was the Winsor & Newton drawing ink. You can see it's left a bit of a ghost. The thing is, when you're actually using it, you wouldn't just put a big splodge on the page like that and leave it. You would be working it and moving it around and actually drawing and painting something with it. So that would be minimal. I wouldn't be concerned about that. And other than that, there is nothing of note. Now, if we talk about the buckling of the paper, the worst buckling is here, and that was our wet and wet technique with watercolor. So that was actually 2 lots of water. And again, it's not that bad. You wouldn't turn over the page and be like, oh, I can't draw on that because it's buckled slightly. It's pretty good. The other water-soluble mediums as well, we were quite heavy going with the Inktense as well, and there's really not that much to write home about in terms of how it's affected the paper. So I'm quite impressed with the integrity of the paper and how it's handling things. So all in all, bearing in mind that you can tear the pages out of this, you've got bookmarks. This is actually a really well-rounded sketchbook, and I am surprised. I was prepared to be disappointed. I genuinely was, because I didn't want to get my hopes up too much, because it would have been too good to be true for me to have this, you know, the fact that I used the diaries and I've used the journals and everything, and I am so pleasantly surprised. The only thing that could make this any better for me is if they brought it out in a smaller format. I don't fancy lugging this round in my satchel to, you know, if I'm going to go and draw outside or whatever. But, I mean, it's just lovely. It's a lovely sketchbook. And when you have one of these books, people comment on them all the time. All the time. They're like, oh, that's really nice. So I'm actually really pleased with this. As I say, my expectation of the paper I kind of lowballed it because then I knew I wouldn't be disappointed, but there you go. It'll take pretty much anything. So I hope that has helped you if you are in the market for a new sketchbook, or maybe you just want to see what a £27 sketchbook looks like, now you know. And I'm glad I did this. I was filled with so much dread coming into this, but I'm really glad I've done it, and it's excited me a little bit. As I said at the beginning of the video, I am actually coming to the end of a sketchbook, and it's time for me to select another one. Whether or not I use this as my next sketchbook, that's another story, but we will revisit that and we can explore that in nearer the time. So thank you very much for watching today, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you've learned something. And all I want you to do is please stay safe and take care of each other. And I'll see you back in the cave on Sunday for another video. So have a good day, everyone. And bye-bye for now.